It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning. What's up? How's it going? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Check 1 2, check 1 2. What's up? Yeah, I hope everyone had a good Monday, a good weekend. I did. I worked, but I still had a good weekend. So good. I started 2 minutes late. What? Nah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mike Dip in the Morning with Mika. I was writing the longest caption ever. What's up, Jessica? Friday was fire? Wasn't it? I'm still look, Jessica. Anybody watching? I was like, yo, how do I follow up after such a great Friday? And I felt, hey, what's up? Good morning. Hey, D. Hey, Mara. Yeah, I had it's just so dope. And like after I hopped off, me and Jared were like, we were putting our heads together trying to brainstorm future content, and just so many good ideas emerged from the conversation with Amethyst. Just so dope, and just really, really infused a lot of energy. So, but we're gonna keep it going. We're gonna talk, chop it up with more Amethyst. Hopefully we'll invite her back. Now she back in the South Cac. I'm like, okay. We're gonna chop it up, and then also invite so many different other voices. Like, y'all gonna be thrown off. People that I find fascinating, people that I find really, just interesting to talk to, that have either a Charleston connection, a Low Country connection, or a South Carolina connection. We want to try to bring that to you. So it's coming. But let's go ahead and start off, because I got an orthodontist appointment this morning. And so I want to make sure I stay on time. So I'm going to go to my favorite screen real quick. Shout out to the homie Charleston weather, Jared Smith. This is the forecast for the week. Good. I'm glad today is going to be still sunny and nice and warm. That looks beautiful tomorrow as well. And then we get some rain chances. 20%. I don't believe you 20%. I don't believe you 30%. Not until it gets to 40%. I don't think we're going to get rain until it gets like to 40. But we'll keep an eye on that. All right. So yeah, shout out to the homie Charleston weather. I'm going to see where I want to go next. We'll just go ahead and look at, I think I got 2 front pages of y'all. So I went back to my old thing yesterday. My old Sunday thing was telling you guys to use your library card to read the Post and Courier. That's what I want y'all to do. Because I love the library, seriously, but also because but anyway, I went back to my old habits and routines around getting both the New York Times and the Post and Courier. And so I'm about to knock a bunch of stuff off. So yeah, so I this is y'all looking at the screen. So I got the copy of the newspaper, and this is actually, so it was interesting. It was interesting. Yesterday was a lot of interesting news, a lot of things that caught my attention. The New York Times though was lit. The New York Times was lit inside and out. But yeah, I got back into it because I sometimes putting the paper in your hands, it's just kind of, the news just jumps out at you a little bit more. And so I was able to peruse a lot of the sections, and let me enhance it real quick. And I'm gonna start with Sunday, then I'm gonna bring us to today's front page, which I just glanced at. I didn't really take a look at outside of just queuing it up. But yeah, so this is Sunday's paper yesterday. They're going this ongoing series, the Uncovered series, the investigative news outlet or outgrowth from the Post and Courier. Shout out Avery Wilkes. When you use your library card and other library apps to access the Post and Courier, make sure you pay particular attention to Avery Wilkes's reporting. I find his investigative chops to be Chef's kiss. Full disclosure, not full disclosure. Side note: when I did the COVID-19 updates last year at the beginning of the pandemic, Avery was actually gracious enough to grant me an interview. So I'm up here in my closet. I'm up here in my closet on Wamala Island, doing these interviews via Zoom audio, with the USB mic, and just so I can have the perspective of those on the ground reporting about COVID. And at that time, Avery was doing some really solid reporting. So was MK. MK does a lot of the medical reporting. So when you use your library card or you go to the library and you actually want to read a physical copy that they have available to you, if your library is open and is safe, make sure you pay particular attention to his reporting. This is interesting. I'm going to read this story. I've been listening to. I've been engaged. I've been engaged. Solid reporting. You can report. You can support the reporter, not whack ass Mitch. All right, so here you go. Oh, look at them getting you ready, y'all. They're getting you ready. They get, I haven't really been posting to Instagram like that because, people have been reporting my page. And so the algorithm is booty. Plus I'm inconsistent lately. So that don't help either. With the algorithm, but we know the algorithm is also racist. So a lot of stuff that I post is labeled as like hate speech or some shit like that. And people report my shit. But yeah, so it took everything I have. It took everything I had to, let me go ahead and take care of this real quick. Boom. Got it. Bam. Close. All right. It took everything I had to, sorry, do two things at once. Here we go. Took everything I had not to post about the PGA coming to Kiowa, because I really am waiting patiently for like organizers to kind of address this. And I thought also it's not the top. I thought also the Volvo Open as well. I'm hoping. Hey, what's up, Brit Math? I'm hoping that they're gearing up, y'all. Disrupt the PGA. I'm sustained. I'm leaning into it. Disrupt the PGA, y'all. I thought about this too. Like, again, I know, and I said this before, I know a lot of people who follow me on Instagram are business owners, right? Thanks for the subscribe. Thank you so much, Brit Math. If I didn't say it, thank you so much. But I think a lot of people who follow me are conflicted because tourism is great for business. And I think that you can support our local economy. You can support our local small businesses and also maintain your point of views on, what causes harm here, right? And so I don't know if anyone's conflicted. I just kind of want to just model courage or demonstrate courage for anyone conflicted by, like, if you want to disrupt the PGA. I'm just saying it. Disrupt the fucking PGA, y'all. I'm tired. I'm tired. Like, just do something. Stop waiting on like some big incident to happen, some other traumatic event to happen to capture what happened last year. What happened last year it was such an anomaly. Like, it was really, really just, it was so funny because this weekend I sat with my friend Evelyn, shout out Evelyn, and we both said the same thing. Like, I did not go to the first day of protest last year, not because I didn't feel what I felt. I ain't think Charleston was gonna do shit, and she was the first person I actually got to articulate that to. I was like, we ain't gonna do shit here. Ain't nothing gonna happen here. So when I remember when I saw everyone take to the streets, and I just moved into this apartment, I was like overjoyed. Like, wait a fucking minute. Yo, they came out. Like, they took, wait, what? Elected officials? City council people? Oh, is that Candace with a bullhorn? Like, it was it was amazing. I just was like, really? Because I'm used to Charleston not showing out. Now, of course, like, Bree Newsom came we showed up. I'm not trying to denigrate people, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, not to that level. The Bree Newsom thing was real. It was so much controversy but you had a lot of things going on at the College of Charleston campus with the racist Halloween costumes and a bunch of crazy stuff happened. You had Glenn McConnell, oh my God, racist ass, Civil War reenactor, collecting Confederate bullshit ass Glenn McConnell. He was the president of the college. Like, it was a lot of things going on. But last year I was surprised, and I'm saying all of that to say that I don't know if, like, that's not the norm. We've seen how rebellion, how uprisings are put down viciously. We saw federal indictments. We saw we saw a lot of backlash. After that, we saw militarized vehicles come and threaten to gas and to jail and to batter and beat young college students who were unarmed, right? We saw that the next day when I did go out, right? And subsequent protests that I would attend, right? So I get it, but I think I'm going to read the chat real quick. Corvus, you said you can 100% support tourism and not gentrification and poisoning of local environment. Absolutely, right? And you can lift up indigenous sovereignty too. Like, when I think Kiowa, I think of that actual community, that indigenous community, that indigenous tribe that would have been there, right? And that's what comes to me. So anyway, fucking disrupt the PGA, y'all. Stop waiting for, like, trauma to kind of inspire you, man. Like, shut this shit down. I was so reluctant to be saying that, but I'm just, that's it. The whole Volvo Open came here, nobody did shit. It's just, yeah. So anyway, that's the front page. They gearing up, y'all. And you know how the Post Curry does this really weird formula where they put the benign shit in the middle because, of course, they want the tourists who grab maybe a complimentary copy of the paper in their lavish hotel lobby. They want the tourists to, have a favorable POV, I guess. Have a really specific POV. But then I looked at today's cover, right? So I'm gonna hop over to today's cover real quick. It make it so hard to reduce this shit. Come on. Look, the X goes up and goes down. All right, so today's paper. All right, this is today's front cover real quick, right? So trial begins for sheriff accused of conspiracy. I'm going to dig into this. So this is federal prosecutors have Federal prosecutors have also charged 2 Chester County deputies in case that includes allegations of theft and fraud. Now, again, the Post-Curry has been following this story for a while in terms of corruption, especially at the sheriff's level. Also, the Greenville, what's the Greenville newspaper? Yes, they did. I'm sorry, B Manning. Yes, they did gas. Yep, they did gas and arrest on Sunday. You're right. Thank you for keeping me honest. But yeah, the Post-Curry has been following this story, as have other state news outlets. In the middle here, we got an Adam Parker special. It's about Black atrocity and Black pain. Adam Parker wrote it. All right, so this is about the King Hoy plantation. Doesn't mean it's not worthy of print and publication. I'm not saying that. I just really want a Black person to start writing these stories. I want Adam's been getting a workout when it comes to Black stuff. Would love to see a Black person kind of get a chance. So yeah, infringing on the dead. This is a story that's like, pervasive throughout the whole state. There's so much development literally on the bodies of African Americans, and I would venture to say on the bodies of a lot of tourism, a lot of buildings, a lot of development is built on top of the graves of not just African Americans but also Indigenous Americans as well. Chick-fil-A scholarship, not interested. Town upset over Nick's inclusion in transit plan. Not getting into it today. But yeah, that's today's paper. All right, I'm gonna close out those tabs. And this weekend, the news has largely been about the momentum from last week, which was like gun laws after countless. It feels like I'm gonna just say countless because I can't count them. Countless mass shootings. So like the momentum going into the weekend, you know how it go. The Sunday shows set the tone, get them out there. Clyburn's comms team, y'all, let me just click. Okay, so I saw it in real time. So I said, you know what? Let me just see his comms team, what they was doing, right? So I just Googled Clyburn. I ain't put Jim in there. I ain't put James. I ain't put nothing. South Carolina. I ain't put nothing. His fucking commerce. Let me hit refresh. His comms team was on. They earned they fucking check, right? He was everywhere yesterday. He was making the rounds, and if he wasn't making the rounds, literally, he was featured in other publications. And this is his time, right? This is his time. And now him going back and forth with Joe Manchin was really, to me, an interesting part of the story, because that was about the filibuster, right? And how do lawmakers like Clyburn, how do they advance legislation, whether it be, well, the loophole, which I think they feel has bipartisan support, but other things that the Dems want to get through, you know, and all those, like, it's really interesting how Manchin is holding like all this power and influence, which I don't understand why they don't nip that shit in the bud. I think they can nip that shit in the bud. I think the squad, the progressives, the progressive faction within, at least in the House and so on and so forth, I think they can hold up some shit too. They could leverage some power as well. But anyway, it was interesting to see Jim Clyburn kind of go back and forth on Manchin. This is not a video clip. I'm gonna get to a video clip, but basically, wait, you know what? I'm trying to think where I saw it, so I can pull it up, because it actually was. Oh, I know what it was. So I'm gonna open up YouTube real quick, and let me see. It's a channel that I don't watch, but it came up, Rational National. I don't watch this channel. I'm gonna put Manchin. So this is the crux of the issue, and then we're gonna tie it back to gun rights in a second. So let me bring this back.
Exception I'm not counting the filibuster on that bill. Never. I've been very, very clear.
It appears that Democratic Senator Joe Manchin has learned the completely wrong lesson from the insurrection on the Capitol. And James Clyburn, of all people, is calling him out. So I'll get to that second video in a minute here. But first, here is Joe Manchin on CNN and the lesson that he learned from the Capitol riots.
January 6th changed me, and I was very clear with everybody. I never thought in my life.
You could tell real quick when a lawmaker doesn't have a black constituency. Not even that, they could have black constituency and say dumb shit like this that he's about to say. But you can tell people who just don't have black interests, who don't have a race analysis as they lead. This is what it sounds like, and this happens all too often. Again, even with folks like a Joe Cunningham. Joe Cunningham never had a critical race analysis, and you saw that in the way he articulated what motivated his policy making or how he built out his platform. The issues of importance he placed on his website were devoid of anything culturally specific that would speak to the needs of his black constituency. So I want y'all to start doing that too. When you listen to lawmakers, it's not about covering all the bases or checking all the boxes. It's about whether or not they want to expend the energy to consider other people other than their own, especially if you're white and privileged, right? Their own point of view. And with Joe Manchin, like, I don't even think this is honest. I think this is something him and his team came up with. But listen to what he said he took from if you haven't seen it, what he took from the uprisings on January, the revolt, the insurrection of January 6th at the Capitol.
I never read in history books to where our form of government had been attacked at our seat of government, which is Washington, D.C., at our capital, by our own people. Now, the British did it, but not Americans. So something told me.
As if Americans haven't attacked their own people.
Wait a minute. Pause. Hit the pause button. Something's wrong. You can't have this many people split to where they want to go to war with each other.
Would you be? So that's what you got from that, Joe. You got that, hey, these people are being violent, killing cops, calling other cops the N-word. We're doing something wrong. We got to stop them from hating us, right? What the fuck?
Willing to pass the For the People's Act.
He actually acting as if like the lack of bipartisanship caused the insurrection. Like, come on, yo. You know, you better than that, Joe.
by killing the filibuster. Would you be
I'm not
willing to
killing the
carve out
filibuster.
an
I'm
exception
not killing the filibuster.
on that bill? Never,
I've
ever.
been very, very clear. I think if you read my op-ed, it was very clear.
So Joe Manchin now is against killing the filibuster or even altering it because of what happened at the Capitol riots. Because he saw crazy Republican voters lead an insurrection at the Capitol and see his fellow lawmakers, Republicans, defend that, instead of making him think, hey, this is crazy. We can't be working with these people. He instead thinks, no, you know what? These people are so effing crazy. I think we should work with them. This is the excuse he is using for now being even more conservative, if that was possible, than he was before. Now, James Clyburn, of all people, this is the guy that essentially...
I don't know why he keeps saying of all people. Again, I don't know this channel, but this came up when I was trying to find some video clips. But I like that he had the soundbite. I wanted them to bounce out. I don't know why he keeps saying it. I know, I ain't like a James Clyburn, enthusiast, right? But I don't know why he keeps saying of all people, as if he hasn't made I don't know, strong statements. But look at Clyburn, right? Look at him using that light. Somebody was like, maybe his daughters and them was like, yo, pops, get in front of this light, get this good what do you call it, the magic hour? What do you call that in film when you get that really good light? Right?
Handed Joe Biden victory last year in the primary against Bernie Sanders. He came out and said this in response to Joe Manchin.
He said that, if I remember your interview, that January 6th changed him. Well, it changed me as well.
The golden hour? Yeah. Hey, what's up, number one grandma, subscriber? How you doing?
And I want to remind him of what some of those insurrectionists were saying to those African-American law officers who were out there. One man talking about how many times he was called the N-word. I want to know, how does that man compromise in such a situation? How would he have me compromise in such a situation?
Yeah, he could have gave him a little bit more. Real quick. I hear y'all, I see y'all. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Justin. Right, cause I'm assuming this dude is a progressive content creator. So right, and he knows he endorsed Biden and all that. But it just didn't feel right in terms of of all people who would have views on the insurrection. Of course he would, right? You're a black man in fucking America, whole ass civil rights icon. I might not fuck with his politics to the bone. But I mean, it was something I wanted to pull up that made me it's so fucking random. What was I gonna pull up real quick? Because I closed my tabs, I'm sure. Hold up, let me see if it's still up here in the yeah, here we go. So every time, okay, let me go back to so every time I see Clyburn's face, right? Every time this is so triggering. Every time I see Clyburn's face, y'all, I think this is old Washington Post article. This is from February 2020. They spotlighted. I helped them build out this story. Shout out to Vanessa Williams from the Washington Post. She's amazing. This took fucking months. This story took fucking months. But she interviewed my pops. He eventually ended up on the front page. So every time I see Clyburn, I see my pops. And then the fact that he's in front of a fireplace too. I was like, Dad, is that you? So notice on the mantle behind him, there's no pictures of me because I don't exist. It's like, I'm joking, I'm right here. But it's like, I'm not represented in my family's house at all. I'm underrepresented. At least I made the paper. But anyway, I get triggered because I'm like, that looks like my pops. I wanted to show y'all my dad too. But anyway, so that was an interesting clip there. But Clyburn, like I said, his comms team is on it. Oh, it's right here. I had it right here. His comms teams were on it, and specifically not just about the filibuster, but about gun rights and gun laws and closing the Charleston loophole. So that was interesting. And I want to get into, I remember, y'all probably don't remember this offhand, but last week, I'm gonna pause it. Last week I wanted to show y'all this page. I was trying to scramble for it because I saw it years ago, like when I first, 2017. And it's this page, this account run by South Carolina Gun Law. And it was all about, not all about, but primarily about how to get people who were convicted of felonies and specifically domestic violence, how to have their gun rights restored. Because if you have a felony, you can't get your hand on the glizzy. So so I want to get back to that in terms, I want to kind of tie it into Clyburn and what he's been doing in and around gun laws and getting his voice out there. So that was some of the biggest news. But yeah, you see headlines here from regarding Clyburn, the lesson to Manchin in the Guardian. Political piece, Georgia election law is the new Jim Crow. He said that last week, but they did another piece yesterday. This right here, Republican Clyburn blast Georgia voting law again. So he's making sure he takes advantage. See, this is how you take advantage and keep the political momentum going, right? You don't take anything for granted. And if you even have like any type of a modicum of connection, and a valid connection to the issue, there's a way for you to have your voice heard, especially if you're one of the most powerful Dems in Washington, right? So Clyburn, if y'all take outside of reading local news and using your library card to read the Post and Courier, I encourage you also to take a look at some of the press hits that his team. Again, I'm progressive. Clyburn's not progressive, but I think it's interesting in terms of what he's saying regarding like the Charleston loophole. Let me see if this is a video here. Let's see if they give me a video. Let's watch this real quick. This is Ali Velshi, I think, because I recorded Ali. Yeah. So I'll let this ad go. But yeah, just in terms of just seeing what your local lawmakers are saying at the national level, and we're gonna get to in my teaser, my little blast on Twitter, Facebook, and all that. I talked about Henry McMaster, like where in the world is Henry McMaster? Again, make sure you kind of take a look at what your local lawmakers are doing on the national stage. We're going to get to that in a second. All right, let's unmute this real quick.
House of Representatives, Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina. He's also the chairman of the subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis. So we've got a lot to talk about. Whip Clyburn, good to see you again this morning.
And got that light this time.
I want to remind people of something called the Charleston loophole. It existed long before the Charleston
again, this is from this weekend, guys.
Shooting, but it was this idea that when you go to buy a gun, the system basically has 3 days to approve you. If it doesn't do it in the 3 days, for whatever reason, if you don't get a denial within 3 days, but you don't get an approval, you can just buy the gun anyway.
That's correct, and that's a big problem.
Ain't that the dumbest shit you ever heard? Like, I didn't even know that until like all this stuff happened. I didn't know, like, if your shit don't go through, they like, go ahead and take that.
In the case of Charleston, and we nicknamed it that loophole, the Charleston loophole, because the Charleston situation, Emmanuel AME Church, 9 poor souls worshiping, doing their Bible study, welcoming a stranger into their midst. And that's what the Bible tells us that we ought to be all about as Christians. They welcomed this gentleman in. He sat there, studied.
I only paused not to be insensitive to the Mother Emanuel thing. Hey Kia, you back? Good morning. I miss you too, especially this weekend. I'm not being disrespectful of the Mother Emanuel massacre, but I want y'all to just pay attention. Y'all know this. I'm kind of like preaching to the converted, but listen to all the notes he's striking, right? Especially around like religious themes, like just certain things. So, yeah, I mean, dude is a pro to this. The most skillful person I've seen who hit every mark. Let me change the view real quick because I need y'all to see my face. The most skillful ninja at making sure that every second of camera time with a constituent, time with a surrogate, the most skill that I've seen up close, Elizabeth Warren. I don't care what y'all think about her politically and all that, her being a capitalist. When I tell you that's probably one of the most, like, it's one of the reasons I went hard, is because when I brokered the surrogacy between she and Benny Starr, and I got to see, like, up close, when I tell you this woman strikes every note, she don't miss a mark. She a red light performer. She, even when she think, let me tell you something, and this no shade, when you a politician, you got to do it. She don't relax. And then the fact that she had her husband on the same page, and it was easy, wasn't forced. It was easy. So when y'all watch television, this is part of your media literacy. When you watch television, you'll see the politicians who are not who are undisciplined, right? You got like about 3 categories. You got Trump, who doesn't have to be disciplined. He just says the same tropes over and over again and just stirs up that white supremacist, that racial animus, right? So he's in a different category. And then you got some that are undisciplined who are just happy to be on TV. That's Caesar McKnight. Caesar McKnight's dumbass, right? He gonna defect from the Democratic Party during a time where Democrats are coalescing around power building, both at the state level, at the congressional level, so on and so forth, right? At a time like that, this dummy goes rogue and he's undisciplined. He hops on a white nationalist TV show, right? So you got that undisciplined dude. Then you got Elizabeth Warrens and you got the Clyburns, the OGs who know. Now with Elizabeth Warren, what I noticed is she knows that people are always watching her. She's always aware that people are watching her. Even when she's walking away from you, she made sure to grab her husband's hand and walk down the hallway of Goose Creek High School. Even though we had just broke out and we just finished doing a little before the scenes, yada yada yada, you know, she knew every second she was in that building, she was on. If she wasn't in her room, if she wasn't in a car, if she wasn't like in her tight circle of trusted staffers, she was on. And I want y'all to be pay very particular attention to that. This dude be hitting his marks though. I just wanted to share that with you. And she's really good at it. Like, I'm telling you, like, you thinking you just meeting her to shake hands? No, her digital teams is getting that B-roll. Like not only that, somebody getting a sound bite. Like, it's so, and then she's gonna get that name. Then they know enough, the team know enough to take a name down, and then that becomes a fucking anecdote in the next speech. It's so, when you see it up close. I know I geek out on stuff like that, but when you see it up close, what's up, Jazz? It's just like, oh shit, this how you politics. So that's why I get so outraged when these politicians, like the Greek Freak, when Todd Rutherford, the Greek Freak, like comes down to Charleston and just try to get his girl put on a reality show. I'm like, dude, like, this the camera you going for? A Bravo camera? Oh, but you the Greek Freak, so that's why.
For an hour. And then when they closed their eyes to say the closing prayer, he murdered 9 of them, trying to start
he's using the power of that moment. He's using the power of that moment.
A race war. Well, the investigation revealed that he got the gun after 3 days, though they discovered that some information was wrong. The question is, did he...
Kid, don't get it twisted now. I'm a fan of Elizabeth Warren. I'm a fan. But I think she's a politician. You can never, ever, 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 ever forget they're all politicians. They're all politicians. They're all essentially brands in the kind of government we have. And when I say I'm a fan, I really do like people who know what time, like, the competency, like, I don't know. I'm a fan of it. Maybe it's because I studied this shit in college and I don't know. I like good politicians who are trying to win. I think maybe it's that sports thing in me. But listen to how he's doing. He's using the power. Listen to Clyburn real quick. I'm going to stopping this shit.
Did he give the wrong information intentionally? Or did somebody miscue something? So at the end of the 3 days, he went back, he got the gun. What we're saying, we're trying to close this loophole, give the investigators time to do their work. It is determined that 90% of all gun purchases are approved within seconds. But another 97% are approved within the 3-day period. 3% fall outside of that 3-day period. And what we have found is in that 3%, a lot of people, the vast majority of that 3%, are people who get the guns, who are not deserving of having them, who are not qualified to have them, and many of them go out and commit murders like this gentleman did in Charleston. So we're trying to close that by putting in a procedure that gives us 10 days in which to do the work.
All right.
And this is called the Enhanced Background Checks Act.
Okay, so we'll stop it there. But I just want you to again see where your lawmakers were this weekend. What were they doing? What's going on? It's just like what are your lawmakers doing? What are they up to? Not everybody leaves their hoe in the dirt on the Sabbath. Some folks is out there working. Not everybody leaves their hoe in the dirt. You know what I mean? Some people's out there working. So, all right, yeah. All right, so this is when I run short on time and like I can't read every fucking headline. I can't read the papers that's stacked up. I'm grabbing like. When I can't read the papers that's stacked up and it's just a lot, I just go right to, and I told y'all this last week, this is my hack. I go to Jamie Lovegrove's Twitter feed. Now, he took off, he enjoyed the weekend, it looked like. He ain't tweet since the 9th. But this right here, one of the last tweets he did before the weekend, again, I want y'all to keep in perspective why Mr. McMaster, why Mr. Foghorn Leghorn is so active lately, why he's doing the absolute most. Remember, he's running for re-election, and I know a lot of y'all didn't forget that, but I want you to just to keep that at the fore of your mind when you see him over there, Carmen Sandiego in it up. I'm trying to turn it to a verb. When you see his ass on the fucking southern border, injecting himself into, and when he announced that he was going to the border to see the border crisis, I was like, what is he gonna do? Like, is he gonna do like, why wasn't he with that faction of lawmakers, like Lindsey Graham and all them? Like, why wouldn't he go down there when they all were like sweating in their PK polo shirts? I don't know. But anyway, so here's the story this is Fox 28, a Savannah Fox affiliate. I'm gonna see if I can blow this up a little bit so y'all can see. Ooh, no. Ooh. All right, so this should be big enough. So yeah, Governor McMaster visits South Carolina National Guard troops at southern border. This was this is printed on Saturday, or this was published on Saturday. So El Paso, Texas, Governor Hemi McMaster visited troops from South Carolina serving at the southern border on Friday. The governor said on social media he met with the brave men and women of the 2-151st, I don't know how you say it, 151st Aviation Regiment of South Carolina National Guard. I'm grateful so look. Remember I told you about hitting marks? You look for an inn. You look for an intersection where you can go in there. He found his inn. Oh, we got troops down there? Bet. Let me hop on this plane. Let me get down there. Right? So he says he's grateful for their proud service to our country and helping secure our southern border. Because your president didn't build no fucking wall. Built like a mile of wall. Mr. Protect the border. Even though we know that we don't need walls, we don't need all that bullshit. No, we don't. We ain't on that. We ain't on that. We got laws. Chill out. All right. So yeah, this is him. One of his tweets from Friday on the ground. Wanted you to, having his. Let me see if I can click on it. Having one of his Top Gun like fantasies to feel like they love this shit. This shit is like, yo, and his team is on it. His comms team, his digital team, make sure you get that picture. Look at his boots. Got the military boots on too? Or are those just wallabies? What are those? I wonder if they gave a fuck. I wonder like, yo, can we get home? They probably care. Look at this. Look at this one right here. Look at this. Don't this look like Trump when Trump was in that Mack truck? This shit look ridiculous. Dude, if you don't take your ass back to South Carolina and stop playing. Anyway, so when you this is what McMaster is up to, along with last week. Remember now, last week too, he's joined the cacophony of GOP voices, speaking out against the infrastructure, speaking out against the Medicaid expansion. We see Georgia's also refusing to take the Medicaid expansion. Let me go back to that. We saw that. I think I saw Warnock. Medicaid. Ooh, let me see. Yeah. So here, newly elected senator in the great state of Georgia, our sister to the south of us. Georgia politicians are leaving nearly $2 billion on the table and denying affordable health care to nearly 500,000 Georgians by refusing to expand Medicaid. That's a moral and economic failure. We must expand Medicaid. And so you might as well copy and paste this shit and take out Georgia and replace South Carolina and aim it directly at McMaster, because that's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what's going on here. Let me see what's going on. My chat is paused. What's going on? My chat is paused. Yeah, Governor Eeyore. Oh yeah, Kia. The chat sometimes is moderated, and so certain words are it's not me doing it. There's certain things they're trying to, cause what you call it, Twitch is notorious for hate speech and craziness. So if your words are like, sometimes when you say something explicitly, they don't take into account who's saying it. I didn't block it. They blocked those words out. All right. Hey, what's up, Courtney? How long do you think it'll take for those picks to end up in the campaign literature? What time? Today, tomorrow. It's already being strategy. It's already part of the strategy. Yeah. Why would anyone care who dates who? The race war thing. What are you talking about? What did you say? It's crazy. Dylan Bruce manifesto had came to light, gun control, race war, and was like, this boy's upset over some black guy dating a white woman. Oh yeah, I know. That's what he said, right? They're taking our women and all the other stuff. Yeah, it was wild. Dylan Roof is a wild dude. But yeah, so just so McMaster's gonna follow suit here as well. So this is the stuff that last week what I was trying to say is these are the things that that he has made, like going into the weekend. This was the momentum. There were a few issues that he really clung to, and so the border crisis, just following what you saw Lindsey and them and Ted Cruz and them do at the border and whatnot. Just following. Nancy Mace do the same thing too, right? All right. So just thinking about Clyburn, right? Thinking about Clyburn, and the gun laws, right? This is not it right here, but just thinking about his efforts to help close the loophole and to advocate for that legislation, it made me think about last week. Last week what I was trying to do was let y'all understand like the sentiments, more about the sentiments here in South Carolina regarding gun laws. We already know, right? Those on the right largely believe that everyone should have any type of gun, all kinds of guns, no restrictions at all. Second Amendment. It's so funny how they feel about. I wish they felt as strongly about civil rights and or rather the right to vote. I wish they felt as strongly about that as they did about guns. We'd probably be like in a better place. We know the gun sales are skyrocketing. We know things like, and some of this stuff was a little fear mongering. Like, I'm not afraid of ghost guns. Are ghost guns a thing? Absolutely. Are ghost guns real? Absolutely. Is it a fucked up loophole that people keep getting around? Yup. But a lot of the media, a lot of left leaning media was really trying to scare the shit out of you. And again, y'all, please understand, there's always some sort of donor, some sort of interest behind some of this most of this messaging that you'll see on MSNBC, CNN. That's why it's important for you to read your local newspaper, right? It's also important for you to check out other more progressive news sources. Even it's not progressive, but PBS NewsHour, public radio, any type of local media that's cogent, that's really doing a good job, like me, doing a good job presenting you information and facts. But when you hear a lot of this really like scary messaging, there's always something behind that. And also too, ratings, right? If not explicitly somebody or something or a powerful entity, it's ratings. So they want to keep you coming back, and fear is an incentive. And they use it to keep you coming back. Now that they don't have Trump, they got to have something else going on. So they just replaced one toxic draw for another. But I say all that to say the conversation around gun rights is real, gun laws is real, because of what we're seeing with this latest rash of gun violence. To keep it real with y'all, I've been talking to my homies in Philly. I've been talking to my brother who's not in Chicago proper anymore, but still lives in that area, and having these conversations with people who have a close view as to some other issues with gun violence that we don't really talk about enough. And this is where I see the left side of the media not lifting up the voices of the grassroots organizers who are trying to stop violence in their cities. I think we're not talking enough about that. We're vilifying the right so much, and we know they're dug in. We know their positions, right? We need to also talk about solutions. We need to talk about the people on the ground who are trying to end the violence. Now, the violence emerges from inequity. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that gun violence in what we're seeing in certain urban pockets is driven by a lot of disparity. It's not, I'm not talking about the mass shootings. I'm not talking about, white man with a grievance, viciously killing, Asian Americans. I'm not talking about those things. I'm not talking about mentally ill people going into a supermarket and slaughtering, just random citizens. I'm talking about there's all kinds of gun violence that we're dealing with, and I really would love the media to cover it all and stop just trying to make this about blue and red, because this is about a lot of people on the ground who are dealing with these issues, right? Oh yeah, Key, I got that queued up, that Trump shit. That shit made me laugh. I'm probably in with that because I don't like centering Trump, and I don't like to get too far away from South Carolina. But in saying that, understanding also the contours of what this gun rights and gun whatever, what this, hey, we want white men who have been convicted of violent crime, we want you to keep your guns. We want you to keep your guns. There's a whole motherfucking industry. There's a whole industrial complex set built around getting white men their guns. So it's not even just like the GOP. It's all these other interests and groups and these lobbyists who are actively working to restore people's gun rights who have lost them given our laws, right? And whether or not you wanted to make the marriage of the law, I'm not doing that. I'm just I think that shit is bullshit, given specifically, as much as I fucking lambast the Post and Courier, they won a fucking Pulitzer for their what? Domestic violence coverage. So knowing our history with domestic violence, knowing that women are murdered so often by their male partners, and a lot of them with guns, knowing that, what do we have emerging? And this is after that Pulitzer prize right here. So let this play. This is I remember years ago, I just stumbled across this looking for something else. I think I was trying to do some domestic violence research, just on some numbers and whatnot. And I stumbled across this video, it has 46 views, but let's just watch it.
Talk a little bit about why do we need to know about domestic violence and firearms? Because if you're a judge or a lawyer, you know that in South Carolina, folks value their hunting rights and their rights to firearms.
It ain't about hunting.
Not everybody hunts and fishes. A lot of people do. A lot of people just like guns. But in South Carolina, people just like them. They're very big. They've probably got more guns than we do people. So if you're one of those folks, fine. If you're not, that's your deal. But if you're going to be representing people or adjudicating people,
this is some of the shittiest videos too, because they just set up a phone. I don't know what they did. They set up something and just didn't. No one ever moved it. They didn't. So if he references the screen that's not within the view, then that's just what it is. But listen to this shit real quick, and I'm gonna stop it.
People in South Carolina, that's a big consideration for a lot of folks. I've got a client right now who's never owned a gun, but he won a gun, and because he's got some possible domestic violence impediment in his history,
some possible domestic violence impediment. Was he locked up for domestic violence or not?
He's not allowed to go pick that up, so we're trying to work on.
So he won a gun and he wants to pick up his gun. Never had a gun. Oh man, I really wish I can get up. I really wish I can get my rifle that I won at the state fair. kind lawyer, can you help me get my gun rights back? I just really would love this rifle. My daddy would love to have it.
On that, I don't want to get into too much detail because it's still active, but here's somebody who never had one, never thought about one, but
how you know?
Now that he found out that he's got a problem buying it for legal reasons, now it's a problem. So, the Bill of Rights is basically your civil rights. The Second Amendment, that's
they only care about one person's civil rights or one faction of the country's civil rights.
1/10 of your civil rights. So it's a pretty big deal all the way around. Okay, everybody knows.
They to me, they paint this picture of like a little white boy. You ever watch old movies like, I'm thinking like, not Old Yeller, The Fawn, like the movie, whatever, any old movie with the little white boy in the coonskin cap and his paw going coon hunting. Like, that's not what this is about, bruh. This ain't about like this all shucks character who uses the gun for sustenance and like, cut it out, right? This ain't Opie and Mayberry trying to get the gun. This ain't that. All right, chill out.
That a convicted felon is prohibited from owning or possessing firearms or ammunition, in layman's terms. But if you're convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence, even though it's a misdemeanor, you're also prohibited from owning or possessing firearms or ammunition. You cannot
Okay, what's the problem? I don't see a problem.
Take your kid hunting. You cannot teach your child to shoot. You can't even allow
the rifleman court. Courtney, my dad watches that. Absolutely.
You're not even a person who's allowed to authorize someone else to do it if you're not allowed to do it. So it's a big prohibition there. In 2015, the General Assembly revised our domestic violence code. One thing was we stopped calling it criminal domestic violence, CDV. It's now just called domestic violence. And I think they were trying to make a point that, if it's domestic violence, it is a crime. We don't need to, there is not non-criminal domestic violence.
What I really want y'all to see too in showing this clip is that there are groups who actively meet up annually, it seems, to not just discuss how men can get their guns back after committing felony domestic violence, right? But how they also get together and they have the ability to impact laws, the ability to impact legislation, and to start. You see how he just said there was a big issue with calling it criminal domestic violence? That sounds too harsh. Oh, it's too harsh. And while I am not a fan of the carceral system, I'm not. The approach and the motivation for this is to remove accountability. And so fuck you. Like, if you're out here beating on your family, beating on people, beating on women, children, whatever, you are what you are. Now, again, I don't subscribe to carceral language literally, but we know that this stance that he's taking is not an abolitionist stance, right? So I'm making distinctions there. But like, to me, like, so as an abolitionist, the hill I'm not dying on is removing criminal from domestic violence. Like, I ain't really worried about that. That ain't my thing. We need to worry about a number of other things related to these crimes and this behavior that causes these things to happen. But this is what I want you to understand, that there are groups of moneyed, educated men with access, lawyers specifically, who study these laws, who actively lobby to help to make sure that men keep their guns. And he mentions 2015. You might have saw me grab my paper to remind me of when the Post and Courier won that Pulitzer. They won that Pulitzer in 2015. So a lot of things started to shake around that time when that domestic violence story started to garner a lot of national attention. Yeah, he's wearing me out too. He's wearing me out. I know. I'm gonna finish real quick. I just wanted to I think there's one more thing he said. Actually, that's it. Because anyway, so yeah, that's the annual South Carolina annual gun law seminar, and it's this like many videos under this whole channel, and they're all like designed on telling men how to just circumvent laws to get their guns restored, get gun rights restored. And I just thought it was like, well, whatever. Well, in the Bible, it says you can beat your wife. You right. Shit. Why am I getting in trouble? It says you can beat your wife. Right? Jesus. But it was just wild when I saw that. I remember I'm like, yo, I was in my car and I'm like, what is this? Bunch of men in a room talking about get your gun rights back. There was, let me see. Oh, it might be on this. All right. So there was some news, like, and I hate that they're continuous. Let me see, lashes out. I hate the fact that they keep giving this dude room to breathe. I really do hate that. Let me see, news. Yeah. It was, I think the New York Times did a piece. Let me do this. Trump. New York Times. Oop. They keep giving this dude oxygen. Ooh, there's another clip I just from this weekend. Yeah. Trump lashes. Here you go. Right. Trump lashes his enemies anew, and GOP dances around his presence. This was wild. So this was published. What date we got here? We got old Miss I Love Access Haberman. And got shout out Jonathan Martin. I fuck with him though. All right, so yeah, this was Saturday, right? So yeah, so he was down there talking real crazy, out there talking, building new grievances, going off on people, trying to just kind of strike those old tired refrains. Like he went after people, but calling them rhinos and all that. He's still trying to grift and whatnot. I don't know how this dude's not charged yet with a crime. Like this is bananas. But anyway, so he made news there. But this ain't even where I wanted you to. Again, we got to tie it back to local. So he down there, everybody going to Mar-a-Lago. Matt Gaetz was down there. Got to have a bunch of white women support him. Shout out Keisha Blaine. Real quick, shout out Keisha Blaine. Keisha Blaine was one of the co-editors of the Charleston syllabus. If you remember my book club, we read that story. Keisha Blaine wrote this story right here. It's linked in my Instagram and in the Instagram stories. I don't know why this page does this, but Trump-loving white women are protecting Matt Gaetz. We saw that happened at Mar-a-Lago this weekend, right? Or last week, at the tail end of last week, right? So he's still wielding power because people just giving him oxygen. All right, I don't even know. And it looks like Matt Gaetz was trying to get a meeting with Trump this weekend, and he was denied. I'm like, why? He ain't got no pardon power no more. What you need, right? And so then I saw this. What was Daily Mail. So consider the source, but Daily Mail. And this was published, I think, was this yesterday? This was published on the 9th. Look at this motherfucker right here. Look at Mr. Graham. So all these fucking ads, I can't take it. I can't close. I can't. It's like a trap. You click one, it's like whack-a-mole. But yeah, today. Anyway, the Daily Mail. I'm gonna close this out real quick. The Daily Mail wrote this story up. And it's about like Trump still drinking Coke after calling for the boycott. But not only that, Lindsey Graham right here. So this was this weekend. So let me try to read it. Okay, exclusive dailymail.com photos. They had the zoom lens, y'all. They had the zoom lens. Exclusive dailymail.com photos show Graham 65 wearing a red polo shirt with the logo for South Carolina, which he represents. Hold on, my alarm. Which he represents in the Senate. All right, Trump wore his usual white polo MAGA hat. Blah 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 blah. Right. So he walks through. Lindsay, I mean, they had their TMZ on. But this is crazy, though, because, okay, that's Trump. That's the caddy. And then here's Trump right here. Here's old Lindsay. Where in the world are our lawmakers, man? They over there just bowing and scraping before this fool. So that's where Lindsay was this weekend. So he out there airing out grievances. Trump is in Mar-a-Lago. People still giving him oxygen and attention, which is what he craves the most, right? Still going down there trying to kiss the ring or what have you. But it's just really weird. It's just really weird. Let me see what y'all said in the chat. Evelyn, what you say? I miss Evelyn. He probably needs tips on. Oh, you talking about Matt? Probably needs tips on how to avoid prosecution after having sex with a minor. You ain't lying. All right, a portrait of mediocrity. You ain't lying. It's so funny. Like the Masters just celebrated the first Japanese winner of the Masters. A whole bunch to unpack in that. The Masters, plantation, golf, restricted access, Japanese golfer. Like, there's a lot to unpack there. But anyway, so that's the golf that I kind of want to have in my head right now. If I'm going to think about golf, is that not Lindsey Graham and Trump playing some shitty rounds of golf. Real quick before we hop off, there was one thing, because I do got to hop off. YouTube, TV. Yeah, let's just do this. Let's just do this real quick. So there was one thing real quick. I queued this up this morning that I wanted to leave you with. But anyway, so we just kind of do like a real quick rapid wrap up. So I was watching, start from where I resumed my last watch to see if it works this time. Because it doesn't always work. Because I wanted to go back a little bit and play this. Let me close some shit, even though I had something to do with it. As this spins.
Death after a traffic.
Okay, so this is the last thing too. So we know that the Derek Chauvin trial resumes this week. But there was other things that happened. There was so many really violent images of black bodies being accosted by white police violence, that I don't really want to traffic in. But given what happened yesterday in Minneapolis, I really thought this was important to just keep us focused on what's going on, what's still going on a year later, right? Eventually too, as we approach the 1-year anniversary of the uprisings here in Charleston, I'm going to try to bring a retrospect. I spent a lot of time either talking with friends or looking through things that are in my phone, things that were sent to me in my DMs, people's perspective on what took place on King Street. A shout out to Evelyn. Had this conversation with her and her partner this weekend about like that Hall's chop house incident where the employee came out and aimed his gun and then lifted his gun and shot, fired off rounds, right? And all of that reaction and a lot of other like white violent things that were never printed in our paper, that were never reported on, even in television media. And I think Sarah Carello tried to, at least via Twitter, tried to liberate some of that news, but it didn't make it to the actual paper. And what we saw from that, after seeing Halls and Halls patrons be so ridiculously over the top and violent, what we saw was then the CVB come in, right, and congratulate Hall's Chop House and their leadership for what they did to keep people safe. Just a really fucked up message from Helen Hill and the CVB, coming at a time where, hey, you know what? Why is this happening? When we should be asking those questions, right? We did it when Mother Emanuel. We spent a lot of time talking about the why or how. Not our city, not our South Carolina, but you don't do that with the uprisings. I got it. So anyway, we're going to do a retrospect, and I'm saying that because we're seeing that these fights still persist. Right? And so when we think about gun violence, it's hard. I know I threw up a lot of stuff today alone. I talked about domestic violence. I talked about the what's going on in places like Philadelphia and in Chicago. We're talking about also mass shootings, right? We're talking about who should be able to get their hands on guns, ghost guns. It's a lot to wrap our minds around, but this is our country. Our country and guns is just a mess. And our country and law enforcement and their use of force is something also that we have to continuously interrogate. So I'm going to rewind this a little bit and get to I think this is how they cue it up. Let's get here, and then I'm going to say bye-bye.
But not him. No.
I actually watched the last part of it. He was so calm when he won. He just sort of took off his hat. So
that's why he's a champion. We're going to have more on that when Vlad joins us at 7:45. But we're going to begin with protests that erupted in Minnesota last night over a man's death after a traffic stop just 10 miles from the site of the Derek Chauvin trial. Police used tear gas and flashbangs in some places to disperse the crowd. The family of Daunte Wright say police shot and killed him yesterday afternoon, and police are saying that they learned of an outstanding warrant against Wright after they pulled him over. Jamie Yukas is at the Brooklyn Center, Minnesota Police Department, where the crowds gathered last night. Jamie, good morning to you. What's it like there this morning?
Well, Tony, I want to show you what my crew found as they were setting up. This is a non-lethal marker round, and you can see this big piece of non-lethal ammunition is shot at crowds to quickly get them to disperse. And while there aren't any people still here, police are still on high alert after officers clashed with protesters here outside the station. The National Guard is still here this morning as well to help control any threats. The mayor also issued a curfew order early this morning. This adds to the already high tensions in the Minneapolis area as Derek Chauvin's murder trial continues today.
Stop, stop! Stop, stop!
Marching through the city, protesters met a line of officers at the Brooklyn Center Police Department who used flashbangs and tear gas to try to break up the group.
This city is so tense. This area is so tense right now. You would think the policing would just be different. You would think that the approach would be different given what's going on just 10 miles away with the Chauvin trial.
We saw rocks and other objects thrown at the police department. There were reports of shots fired in the area of the police department.
Earlier in the day, dozens gathered in the same spot where family says Dante Wright was killed by police.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want now?
His mother, Katie Wright, says Dante called her right before the incident.
That he was getting pulled over by the police, and I said, well, why did you get pulled over? He said they pulled him over because he had air fresheners hanging from the rearview mirror. He didn't deserve to be shot and killed like this.
The 20-year-old allegedly drove away when police say officers tried to arrest him on an outstanding warrant. One officer fired a shot at the...
I just want to say something, y'all, and get this very clear. No one wants to be arrested by the police. No one wants to be arrested by the police. So for those saying, well, he shouldn't have ran or he shouldn't have drove off, no one should be arrested. No one wants to be arrested by the police, right? Right? It's just, like, some people respond to police different ways. Some people fear for their life. You live in this area, you know about Philando Castile, you know about George Floyd. No one wants to be apprehended by the police, right? So knowing that someone's going to flee or going to try to avoid apprehension, if you know that, the approach has to be different, right? Old Man Rand, you said, and the military officer pulled in Virginia. Oh yeah, that's when I was talking. Man, that broke my heart. That broke my heart. The Virginia police stop, that broke my heart. Evelyn, you said exactly the fact that they can't control themselves even in moments like that. I don't understand.
The car and hit Wright, who allegedly continued driving several blocks before hitting another car. Wright died at the scene and no one else was seriously injured. Police are investigating and say dash and body cameras appear to have been activated at the time. The shooting took place just 15 miles from where George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis police last May. As the murder trial of Derek Chauvin continues today, residents say this adds to the hurt.
Pain and grief. I mean, trauma. We're already in a trial with George Floyd. We're at a breaking point as a people.
Today in the trial, we expect the prosecution to wrap up. At least one of George Floyd's family members is likely to testify. The case then moves to the defense, where everyone will be watching to see if Derek Chauvin testifies on his own behalf. Gail?
That is the question, especially.
Yeah, that police stop, Kia, was like heartbreakingly disrespectful. Like really disrespectful. Like this man was just trying to do. I'm getting a lot of notifications. Sorry on my end. But yeah, I don't know if it's skipping out, if the signal's coming in and out. But no, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to see how they treated him. He was literally trying to reason with the cops and saying, I'm afraid to take off my seatbelt. And he literally has his hands out the window. And I just can't play it because I can't. Hands out the window, no gun, no nothing, and you're just macing him. You're just pepper spraying him, and just really, really disrespectful. And it don't make any sense. Like, why use all that force? And then the other cop, it was like a middle-aged cop, and then like a younger cop, and the younger cop looked a little less sure-footed, and then the older cop was like, the way he was talking to him was so just like humiliating. Oh yeah. It was humiliating to watch. So I ain't playing that on purpose. So anyway, just want to wrap it up there. I gotta go, but thank y'all for rocking with me. I appreciate y'all support for real. Appreciate y'all for last week for showing up. It was some of the best content. I gotta start rating and ranking, but that was a beautiful show, and y'all really supported that content that came out of that. So I appreciate it. More to come. Nicole, you said there are no consequences for them, so they won't stop. Absolutely. And I mean, and you know what? I'm cautiously optimistic about the Chauvin trial. To me, it looked pretty simple, especially after the medical professionals came out and said, nah, he died because asphyxiation. I think you had at least 3 medical professionals take to the stand last week and like, asphyxiation, no oxygen in the body, not fentanyl, not none else. No. Yeah, maybe. And yeah, if you want to argue heart disease, well, yeah, you triggered the shit by, I don't know, leaning on him on his neck for like 10 minutes. Maybe that helped accelerate some things, right? Yeah, old man ran. Yep, the cop replied. He said, you should be. That's exactly what took my breath away, old man ran. You should be. He said, I'm afraid of getting out. You should be. And it's a threat. That's a threat. You should be is a threat. So you tell me how the fuck we reform that. You tell me how we reform that. Right? We really have to reimagine policing. We have to reimagine what it is, what public safety really means, right? These cops are out here to protect property. They're not out here to prevent crime. This isn't Minority Report. There are no precogs or whatever. They no pre-crime prevention shit. This is just a really, really wrong way to approach justice. All right, y'all take care. All right, I'll see y'all later. I appreciate y'all for checking in.